everybody. It is July 8th, and we have just finished this evening's Monday Night Raw. It is time for the Mega Powers Raw post-game show here on Mega Powers Radio. On this show, you will hear hosts combined from Smark Out Moment Smack Talk, as well as Keeping Kayfabe, joining forces to give our thoughts on this night's Monday Night Raw, all the events that took place on it, and take your calls live on the air. First off, let me introduce the people we got here. We'll have more people joining us later. But for now, I am your host, Mike Paden from the Keeping Kayfabe podcast. Joining me at the moment, we first off have Anthony Mango, lead host of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast, as well as the head man of Fanboys Anonymous, and possibly the person that's the owner of that dog barking in the back, Mr. Anthony Mango.
Thankfully, I'm not. But who knows? Maybe I'll adopt a cute little guy.
That would be me. Sorry about that, guys.
And that who you just heard is Paul Hibbard joining us on the line here. Paul, how you doing? Not so good.
The dog ate him.
Yeah. All right, well, then we also have the son of the most wonderful business in the world, a company that can rent you all the finest bouncy houses and cornholes for your party needs, Mr. Drew White. Drew, thanks for joining us here. How you doing?
You're welcome. I'm doing fine. How are you?
Absolutely tremendous. You're always the nicest one to ask me back how I'm doing. Now, let that silence sit there. All right. Well, also on the line, YouTube legend, Mr. Spood Beast himself, Mr. Braeden Mayhew. Braeden, how you doing this evening?
I am doing 100% fantastic, Paden. I assume you're doing well, right, as well? You're doing just as great? I'd hope so.
I am doing tremendous. I mean, I think we had a pretty decent show. I felt like it was lacking a lot of the time, but after it was all said and done, I think we had a pretty good Raw tonight.
Yeah, they definitely could have done something a lot bigger for the go-home show, but I don't think it was anything bad.
Your mileage may vary.
Just depends on how you want to take a look at it, I suppose.
All right, so before we jump into our rundown chronologically of this night's events, we just want to let everyone know if you want to join in the show, you could do so by dialing in to area code 760-512-7247. That's area code 760-512-7247. That's, of course, only if you're listening to us live on blogtalkradio.com/megapowersradio. If you're listening to us after the fact, well, too late. But you can always join us live every week on Monday night immediately following the conclusion of Raw at that aforementioned address, or you can always find the show archived on YouTube and iTunes. So, guys, let's dig right into the show. We were in Baltimore, Maryland tonight, which I could say had a much better crowd than Sioux City, Iowa had last week.
I miss Sioux City, Iowa.
I hope after last week they never go back to Iowa.
You can only hope.
I'm so ashamed to be from the Midwest right now.
Hey, the Midwest has some nice places in it, like
Indiana, Indianapolis. Yeah.
Hey, Milwaukee's a good wrestling town.
You're very true. You're
Milwaukee.
You also have Chicago. That's very good.
We said Chicago. That's okay. Tonight we were in Baltimore, and the first thing that we had before the opening credits even started, we had a Wyatt Family promo. Essentially just them once again saying, we're coming.
Again.
Because it's actually true.
Yeah, it's not just blind words. You never know when they're coming. You just know that they're coming. We finally get, after getting the opening intro credits, we see Vickie Guerrero in the ring. She talks about a metaphor of how the ladder in the ring represents how she's had to climb the ladder in a male-dominated world. Then she climbs up the ladder, literally, and the whole time you hear Brad Maddox and JBL on commentary going, please don't fall, Vickie. Please don't fall.
And then you hear the fall chants from the crowd.
Yeah. This was a waste of time.
Total.
Yeah.
That was kind of the theme of this episode tonight, was let's take a really quick match, forgo the ending of it, and just kind of end it in the middle of nowhere, and make more room for long-winded promos.
Yeah, that's essentially what we saw. We saw a lot of time wasters throughout this entire night. We'll be talking about it segment by segment. The first actual match we got, it was between Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. This was actually an excellent match. I would say match of the night. This ended with Bryan locking Sheamus into the no-lock. which gets countered into a Texas Cloverleaf by Sheamus, which then got countered into a small package by Bryan, getting Bryan the 1-2-3 victory, and Daniel Bryan stands victorious. After the match, Sheamus shakes hands with Daniel Bryan, and they both look good. Yeah?
Sheamus further solidifies that Daniel Bryan is not winning the Money in the Bank. It's not happening.
What do you mean? He already won.
I would say maybe more so the opening segment might make it that much. Maybe it's not as cut and dry as we thought it was, but with them pushing him the way they have, I didn't really think he'd even win against Sheamus, and then lo and behold, he actually pulled one off. I'm sure Sheamus didn't tap out, but it's very rare that anybody pins that Celtic Warrior these days.
Fandango couldn't even do it.
Yeah.
Fandango couldn't even say his name tonight.
Oh, sad pony.
But like usual, the match between, I don't know, these two have really, really good, hard-hitting chemistry, pretty much. Like, they always put on a stiff clinic whenever they're given a decent amount of time. I would agree with you, Paden. This is certainly, to me, it was the best match from tonight's Raw for sure.
We've just been joined on the line by Mr. Chris Jester. Jester, thanks for joining us. I believe you actually had something clever you said about this match involving WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's a good thing that we finally got to actually see this match, but every time they have a good match, I get angry that I was denied this live in person at a WrestleMania. So
Same with me, Jester. Same with me.
You were both at that WrestleMania?
I was at that WrestleMania.
Braeden, you were there?
No, I was not there, but I still paid for the pay-per-view.
Good enough.
Any other thoughts on Bryan and Sheamus?
I thought it was a really, really good match. I thought the ending of Bryan pinning Sheamus in a small package was a nice change from Sheamus just, brogue kicking everybody in the face. And they only brought up the 18 seconds thing once, so it was really enjoyable to watch, commentary and action-wise.
All right, guys, we got a caller on the line, actually. A caller from the 412 area code, bringing him on here. Caller from the 412, what's your name? And oh, never mind. Just as I was clicking him on, they hung up. So never mind. Caller from the 412, if you're listening and you want to call back in, sorry, we'll get you back in if you call on again.
Oh, JD?
There they are. I thought I saved it under his name. Is that where he called? Let me bring him in here. Caller from 412, is this JD?
It's JD, guys. Happy Monday. What's going on, guys?
Everything's awesome, man. Happy Independence Day weekend. I believe you said you're from Pittsburgh, right? So you're an American.
Of course. I'm from the Steel City, of course. And, yes, it was a nice 4th of July. I hope you guys had a good 4th of July as well. Yeah, I want to talk about Raw tonight, guys. I'll tell you what, though. They did a pretty good job tonight to get Money in the Bank hyped up a little bit more. I think they did better than they did the last couple of weeks, and I think they did a pretty good job in Baltimore tonight by getting the fans excited. Although, I do question a little bit about this whole Wyatt family thing. I mean, I was a little surprised that the fans started chanting, obviously, Husky Hair's having, he did the Raven pose, which was pretty weird that he did that. But one of the things I liked, the two things I liked about Raw night, obviously, was the opening matchup with Daniel Bryan Sheamus, great match, and then Punk and Orton to close the show. Great way to sell the pay-per-view. But in between that, I mean, the whole job evaluation thing, I mean, I wasn't real too fond of it, and I just wonder who they're going to get now to take over as the GM. I mean, maybe you guys can elaborate on that, and maybe
they hired Brad Maddox.
Yeah, but come on, Brad Maddox. I mean, that's just a nightmare waiting to happen. I mean, they gotta bring someone in like maybe Edge or Shawn Michaels or Booker or Teddy. I mean, to make the Monday night show. I mean, Brad Maddox is gonna sink this thing like JBL said with the Titanic. And then this whole Bellas thing. I mean, like I've said, I mean, I am sick to death every week of hearing the Bellas talk. Here's an idea. Why don't you learn how to wrestle and quit being a little bitchy, little smarky mark? Oh, I'm so cool because I'm dating John Cena and Daniel Bryan. Why don't you get in the ring and learn how to take bumps again, girls? Oh, guess what? You haven't been in the ring in a while because you suck, obviously, on commentary, and you suck in the ring. You're just there to be nothing more than eye candy and a bunch of you-know-whats. So, I mean,
did anybody else notice that one Bella's set of breasts looked better than the others?
Yeah, that's the one Cena's dating. Cena always gets better.
Oh, of course.
I actually think the one Bryan's dating has a nicer set of breasts, but that's just my call.
No, I'm saying they're different.
I would fuck both of them.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Let's take it back to what JD was saying there before. Who would you guys think would be a better fit for our permanent Raw GM if Brad Maddox is just a temporary fill-in?
Jack
JD.
Swagger. Heyman, sure. We could do a Heyman type thing, but wouldn't that give him a conflict of interest, given all of his people he represents?
Well, yeah, I remember earlier.
That'd be perfect.
Oh, continue, Paul. Go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, it'd be perfect. He's got all his clients. He's got all his little puppets. He's got RVD coming back, who might possibly be a quote unquote Heyman guy. I think it'd be a good one, but the one I want to see most, and I'm gonna be a little nostalgic here, is Mr. Eric Bischoff. I'm back. And better than ever. Just to hear that song.
Drew?
But here's a question. But wait a minute. Here's a question. Do you really want Bischoff back as GM, considering what he did to TNA and what he's done to TNA and what he did last time he was in WWE? What do you do with him this time that could make it more exciting, more appealing to the fans that you haven't done before? You know?
Nothing.
Can you? Are there even fans who still even really know who Eric Bischoff is anymore? Like, haven't all the WCW fans either, gone away because WCW's dead, or they probably lost interest in WWE too? So would it even be that impactful having a guy like Eric Bischoff show up again?
Well, when he came back, when Vince, quote-unquote, hired him in 2000 and whatever, it wasn't really about having the WCW guy come. It was about having a bombastic personality come and try and, get the fan base elevated a little bit, just a little bit more into it. It wasn't really about having that WCW guy. Nobody really talked about that until they unveiled who it was. I think he has an awesome personality, and I think he's great for entertainment. I don't think he's great for actual business purposes, as we've seen in TNA and WCW, but just to have him as a face of something, like, we all know Vickie Guerrero is not really calling the shot. I mean, come on. Bring Eric Bischoff back for a little bit, get the fan base elevated for a couple of months until you find something really solid. I think that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Now, JD, this is the go-home show to Money in the Bank. Based on the fact that we know all the builds going up to it at this point, who are your favorites for the Money in the Bank matches?
Well, obviously RVD's 1. I think Punk would be number 2. Daniel Bryan's 3, and then Orton would go 4. Those are my top 4, the way I see it in the ladder. I mean, I definitely think Punk could become the first 3-time recipient. I'm not saying he isn't. They did a lot of hype, obviously, with RVD tonight. Daniel Bryan, they're really pushing the envelope on him more and more, and maybe possibly him facing Cena at SummerSlam in LA in August. I can see that happening. And Orton is sort of like the dark horse, but at the same time, Orton has not gotten a big push as far as the world title in some time. And if there's one guy who could really, out of those 3, could just jump over those 3, it is the Viper. And we saw what he did tonight, obviously, with him and Punk having a great main event. But like I said earlier, I was talking about the Wyatt family. I mean, what is your take? Do you think Vince really gave Wyatt somewhat creative in the way by doing that whole Raven posting, or do you think that was just on the fly and he did it himself and it was only a one-time thing?
I think it's, I don't even know if it's exactly a reference to Raven. I think it's almost more the arms being spread out is more a reference of Jesus. I think he's more trying to represent himself as the leader of this cult, and I think it was the same reason why Raven did it. It's sort of to signify that he's the sacrificial, or the leader of the person who sacrifices him for the good of his group that's following him. What do you guys think about that, though? Do you think he's doing this for Raven?
No, it's like a generic cult leader thing. That's the same reason Raven did it. I think you're right there.
Yeah, it's just a generic pose. It doesn't have anything to do with Raven. If Raven had some kind of ties to the company,
I thought it was though. I just thought it was though, because I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought it was a great debut, and I thought it was very interesting, especially when they went after Kane. However, mind you, like I said, the question is, however, well, I mean, who do they go? I mean, who's their first feud going to be against them? That's the question. Is it going to be Kane? Obviously, it looks like it's going to be Kane, unless they're going to have Kane maybe sit out the Money in the Bank ladder match after what they did to him tonight. But you never know, though. But It could be Kane, but there's been talk that possibly could be the family versus the Shield, depending on what happens with the Shield and the Usos on Sunday, which probably more than likely the Shield's going to win, and that'll put the Usos back down the ladder, obviously, in the tag team war. And that's another thing that they're really hurting on right now is tag teams in the WWE more and more.
Hey, the Shield wins the tag team belts, and what are they doing now? They're on the pre-show.
Yeah.
Obviously, the tag team belts are not doing too good for anybody. I think the Shield versus the Wyatts is inevitable, but I don't think it's something that needs to happen right away. I think that's something that they could cook to, and I think we need to signify which one of those is going to be the fan favorites, which, if you went by tonight's reaction, it looks like there was a heavy fan favoritism for the Wyatt family, but...
I don't know, the Shield got a good pop, too.
They did. You're not wrong. The Shield did as well. Matter of fact, a lot of the heels did. It was almost like a New York City-type crowd where they were cheering the bad guys.
Well, speaking of New York City, this leads me to this, though. I think you saved, depending on what they do with the Wyatt family the first few months, I think you maybe saved the Shield and the Wyatt family match maybe till Survivor Series, November. I'd say you save that till at least November or December. That's when you think, if you can get a few months out of the Wyatt family, continue to cook good with the Shield like you have been as of late, and depending on how the Wyatt family reacts the first few months, then maybe you could set up a few down the road in the fall or possibly by the end of the year, early January maybe with the Wyatt family and the Shield. But I can definitely see the family and the Shield going at a Survivor Series in November or sometime in December.
I really think... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Paul, please.
Okay, I really think the Wyatt family got a really good pop last night just based on the level of brutality that WWE allowed them to do tonight. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of, we haven't seen a concerto, we haven't seen
any kind of violent shot to the head at all.
Any kind of violence. And they really took it to Kane and choked him out with some steel steps. And I think the Wyatt family is gonna do like a random hit kind of thing for a while, kind of like the Shield did, where they did a random hit every now and then.
Right.
And then what? Then what DJ said? Do Shield versus the Wyatt family later on down the line towards Survivor Series, but they really ratcheted up the violence. I don't think it was about the Raven pose tonight. I think it was about the intensity and violence that they came with tonight.
Something interesting I actually heard. I know we're talking about all the way down to Survivor Series, but of course we have to figure out what they're doing up until then. I forget where I saw it, but one person I threw out there, they attached Kane. Perhaps what we can see going into SummerSlam is Wyatt family versus the Brothers of Destruction. And it also would be kind of fitting because the Brothers of Destruction were very dark characters in themselves. It's almost like a fitting place for them to start.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Taker hasn't fought since Mania, and it would be interesting if they could start to tease a little bit after what happened tonight, obviously, starting next week maybe with that. It could happen that way. But at the same time, they could also maybe save for WrestleMania next year, if worst comes to worst, maybe. But like I said,
JD,
we don't know what's going to happen.
Can I pose you a question, JD?
Sure.
Do you think the Wyatts would be the ones to break the streak?
That's a tough one because, I read a lot about them doing very well in Florida. If one of them would go up, like, say, Harper against maybe Taker, yes, I could see it happening. I very well could see it happening. I really could because, these guys are big and tough and strong, and I think they could be actually the ones that pull the streak. They could very well definitely end the streak if Vince is really into that.
If Taker's not above a no DQ match at WrestleMania, you could have all three of them, all three of the Wyatt family interfere in that match and, possibly come very close to breaking that streak. That's a big possibility.
That's a very good possibility. Look what the Shield did to the Taker the last time, and they left him laying. And no one, they kept saying the whole time, no one has ever done that to the Taker. No one has ever done that to the Taker. And the Shield did that, basically making it their yard and their rules, basically. And like I said, the thing just really, getting back to the pay-per-view again, the thing that just really irks me about this pay-per-view, obviously, is like you just mentioned, obviously, is that the Shield is in the warm-up match, and they should be on the match rather than having another match, AJ and Kaitlyn. They should be the warm-up match, not the Usos and the Shield. The Usos and the Shield should be on the show itself. I'm sorry. They dropped the ball on that big time.
Especially if this ends up being a point where you're trying to make the Usos come up to that next level and look good. Putting them on the pre-show, no one cares. And especially if this ends up being a victory for the Usos, taking those belts from them, the worst possible way they could have done that.
Well, the worst case scenario could be like they did before, though. If you remember with WrestleMania, The Miz and Barrett, Miz wins the IC title, then he drops the belt the next night. That could very well happen again here with the pre-show this Sunday and Monday. I mean, that could just ponder that for a minute. It very well could be a possibility.
I really hope.
I don't want to think that. I hope not either.
I love how you speak that evil.
I love how he still has the New York Jet tights, the green tights.
What's that?
He was sporting green and white tights for WrestleMania because they were in New York, the MetLife Stadium, the New Jersey Stadium that they share with the Giants share with the Jets. Miz was. He was. They weren't green. They were black and with a hint of green and white for the New York Jets.
It was a pre-show. Who cares?
Yeah.
All right, JD. Anything else on your mind, man?
No, not tonight, guys. Just wanted to give my 2 cents in. I hope you guys had a good 4th, and like I said, hope you guys enjoy Money in the Bank Sunday. I know I'm looking forward to seeing Money in the Bank in Philly. I'll be at my local watering hole with friends of mine, and we always do this every month. The only one I'm going to miss this year, obviously, is someone will be on vacation, but I usually catch every pay-per-view when I can, so I'll definitely talk to you again next Monday, guys.
Awesome, man. We look forward to it. Have a wonderful night, JD. Enjoy the rest of the week, and enjoy Money in the Bank.
See you, JD.
Thanks, JD. Guys.
Have a nice night.
Love you.
Aw.
I gave him the kisses. I don't know what you just gave.
However, people calling in. Thank you, JD, for calling in. If anyone else wishes to call in and give your thoughts on this Monday's Raw or the upcoming Money in the Bank pay-per-view, you can join in anytime by dialing area code 760-512-7247. It's area code 760-512-7247. This is the Monday Night Raw post-game show here on Mega Powers Radio. So we're going to dig back into going down the event chronologically here. We just finished talking about Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus. The next thing we have is they were doing these segments all night where they had a reporter who went looking for the Wyatt compound. The first one we had is them running into 2 really hillbilly-looking dudes, and I believe they told them to follow the buzzards. Is that what they said? Someone correct me?
I thought they just told the reporter to, go farther down the street and around the corner. You'll find it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what they said.
Okay. Maybe I'm just making up stuff in my head then.
No, I thought they said something along those lines at one point, didn't they? Like, not tonight, but like during the promos.
Yeah, that's like they're
It was their hashtag on Twitter.
Damn. I thought that was a hashtag.
Okay, sure, we'll go with that. Next, we get another backstage segment where we have AJ and Big E Langston talking backstage. Ziggler walks in and asks AJ why she hasn't been at his side. AJ acts real cute and gets Ziggler to like her again. And that's pretty much it. Another one of those filler segments, as we've been saying.
This could have been a great opportunity for them to have Dolph go, hey, you know what? Fuck you, and start going into that more solid babyface thing. But they're really trying not to do that, aren't they?
What are they doing with Ziggler?
I think that they're hesitant to turn him, and what they want to do is they want to wait and see what kind of a reaction he's getting when he's kind of a babyface. Because it doesn't look like they're willing to pull his trigger. If they did, they would have done it a while ago.
It definitely seems like they're slowly backtracking on it. I mean, I don't want to blame it on the reaction he got last week, which was none, because that was in Sioux City, Iowa. But, perhaps that did affect it. I mean, you could hear a pin drop when Dolph Ziggler came to the ring last week.
To be fair, you could hear a pin drop when half of the people entered the arena last week, though.
But I think they're probably paying special attention to Ziggler right now.
No, yeah, because he was supposed to be pressly turned. I don't know why they're milking this. I would assume it's only because they've invested so much with them being a trio that they don't want to just break them up. Although what I thought they were going to do was just have AJ and Big E do their own thing and Ziggler pretend like he had nothing to do with them at all and just kind of go silently on his own, because that's what it seemed like they were going for the last few weeks. He had nothing to do with them. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, why weren't you at ringside for me? Okay. Well, at least they're bringing it back, but...
I don't think Ziggler wants to turn face. He's put a lot of time personally into this whole #heel Ziggler thing, and I honestly don't think he would do well as a face. Like, yeah, he'd get crowd reaction, but he is the showstopper. He's the egotistical megalomaniac that we have come to know and love. Why mess with a good thing?
Well, I don't think he's a maniac.
You don't need to tweak it that much. I mean, just have people cheer him, and if they want to cheer him, cheer him. If they want to boo him, boo him. You don't really need to change all that much.
He's a high-energy, electrifying star. I think it actually is very easy, almost natural to get fans behind him. I mean, the only thing he has to do is just stop fighting heels.
Are you kidding me?
Start fighting heels rather than baby faces.
He interrupted Fiesta Del Rio, all right? He is a huge scumbag. Fuck that guy. And did you see he hurt poor Ricardo.
He did hurt Ricardo.
He took him out for a month.
He's already getting cheers from some fans, and he's getting boos from some fans. I mean, that's what John Cena does, and it works for him, even though he's totally fucking lame.
Do you think perhaps Dolph Ziggler can be doing like a Bret Hart situation where he's a babyface in America, but he's a heel in Mexico?
I thought you were going to say...
He's a heel in my heart.
I thought you were going to say he should become the next most polarizing superstar who evokes emotion like no other superstar in history. Like John
God.
Any other thoughts on the Ziggler situation with AJ?
I feel like they're going to pull the trigger next week. I bet if Ziggler loses this Sunday, it's going to be because AJ does something like during the match that gets him not DQ'd, but just causes him to lose. And I bet on Monday he cuts ties with them and he moves on alone.
I actually think that it might go, if they want to turn him face, they can't have him cut AJ loose because of a loss. They need to have something like maybe Ziggler comes up short and then afterward Big E and AJ leave and he comes out on Raw and he's just kind of like, fuck them for leaving me and all that. Like, they can't, I don't know, this is tricky as all hell, and I think that this is kind of happening sort of what I was worried about when they first dropped the title. Everybody was going, oh, Ziggler, he dropped the title, and this is going to mean big things for him, and I went, I'm nervous about this, because WWE has this tendency every once in a while where if a situation like this happens, they'll go, well, we'll give the belt to Del Rio, and now we're kind of used to the belt on Del Rio, so we're going to keep it on him for a while. And we're going to actually just build Ziggler up with somebody else, and Del Rio is going to keep the title until Night of Champions or something.
Nah, I do not see him holding it for that long. At the longest he's going to hold it to SummerSlam. They're not going to keep that belt on him long term.
Especially without Ricardo at his side now. What's the benefit of Ricardo?
Hey,
or Del Rio?
He's going to hold it. He's going to hold it until he retires. Fuck you guys.
No, see, I don't think it matters that they don't have Ricardo there. I think that with Ricardo not there, they're going to look at that as an opportunity to get the two away from each other, because the whole rumor that was going around was they were looking at it as Ricardo, which is the truth, by the way. Ricardo's the one that's over as a babyface, not Del Rio. So now, if you don't have Ricardo there, now he can go more into being a heel. And they don't have to worry about Ricardo coming in and getting a pop for the Alberto, everybody cheering along with that. So they can go full heel with it, which is going to make them think, well, if we go full heel, then we might as well give him a big push. Ziggler doesn't have a whole lot of steam going for him right now, nowhere near as much as he did before. So they're going to get down on him like they do everybody else. They did it with Cesaro. They do it with, damn near everybody. They did it with Ryback. And I'm thinking that this is going to be one of those stupid situations where we're going to have, Randy Orton or something against Del Rio at SummerSlam. It's going to be some stupid throwaway match that nobody can care about. But in their eyes, we've got this big star, Randy Orton, facing this big star, Del Rio. It's a SummerSlam type of match, you know what I mean?
Can I just say that I really want those announcers to stop saying that Night of Champions is the only night that every title is on the line, because I'm pretty sure at Payback, every title was on the line.
It was. They were. Every single championship.
Yes, and that was a pay-per-view that was a brand new pay-per-view that they had just come up with. And then 2 weeks after that pay-per-view was over, they started promoting Night of Champions, where every single champion is on the line one night a year or whatever. Can they stop acting like we're stupid?
No, they can't.
I think you're asking way too much.
Yeah.
Sorry to go off topic. Sorry.
It's all good. So reeling it back in here, we get the same Mark Henry video that we got last week. Nothing exciting there. Next, we have a matchup between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns of the Shield going against tons of funk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yay.
this was boring.
No, it's okay when Sweet Tea was in there.
Yes, it was. A-Train.
Serious?
Every time he hits somebody, he makes that tech sound. Whenever he has to punch or kick somebody, it's always spats or whatever the hell he's saying.
Spats? He's looking for something to cover his shoes.
Yeah. Did anybody notice that whenever Tensai's in the ring and he's like headbutting or kicking people, he just makes these weird guttural sounds that aren't really words, but they sound like tribe speak?
Mm-hmm. It's stop. He says stop.
It's what you picked up from wrestling in Japan.
He's like, stop. Every fucking time, I swear to God.
It's every goddamn match. So the Dancing Bears take a loss to the Shield, which was no surprise.
Which almost was a win.
to anyone.
Tofu tights that they were wearing today.
You ever see those like slow motion videos of when someone like slaps a person's face and you can see all the ripples going all across it? I want to get a video of when Roman Reigns speared Sweet Tea, and I just want to see like his shoulder driving into his belly and just sending the ripple all the way to around his back.
Funny.
Hell of a good spear, though.
That was a good point. That was a good point somebody had. Towards the end of the match when A-Train and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns were in the match, it actually turned out pretty good. It wasn't, I'm not saying it was a great match of the night by any means, but they definitely gave a good effort to try to save the match.
And fuck, they had Bruce Clay in the corner for like 5 minutes, it felt like. Just hitting him in the stomach. It was god-awful.
No, Drew, it had to have lasted at least 15 minutes. At least that's what my mental clock was telling me.
Yeah, sure.
But the finish was good.
Any other thoughts on this match before we wrap it up?
Well, yeah, the Shield is supposed to be this big group, but they barely was able to pick out a win against tons of funk, tofu. I'm kind of worried about them. Like, who else in the tag team division can they face? It's after the Usos.
Who, Shield?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not two superstars thrown together. Like, hey, just fucking face them.
Yeah, why don't we? You could do like Mysterio and Sin Cara. You could do Air
Mysterio
Boom.
Gets back anytime soon, and that's the same with Air Boom. If Evan Bourne ever decides to show up and actually wrestle.
Who's been talking
like to
about
see
Evan Bourne?
Yeah, honestly, I'd like to see Air Boom against him. That's a good point. I didn't even think about him. Yeah, but I think Kofi Kingston's injured too, so never mind.
He's due back any week now.
So yeah. you'd rather Air Boom than R Boom?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Yo, where's R-Truth been? We haven't seen him in a while.
Jail.
Oh, he was on last week, wasn't he?
Jail.
No, he has.
Yeah, go with the black man in jail.
Maybe he was in main event. I don't know. I didn't see him.
I don't know. It could be just space.
He hasn't been getting or losing me any points, so I would know he hasn't been in action.
Face turn for primetime players.
Yeah, so we used to go with the PTP.
Bone crusher and
pancake.
Hashtag millions of dollars.
So next we get another video of the reporter looking for the Wyatts. This time we see the outside of a really creepy old Victorian-era house. And we look up to the side and we see a man in a sheep mask chopping something with an axe. It didn't look like wood, but we don't know exactly what it was. We then see Luke Harper call the cameraman over and ask him to follow him, and that's where the video ends for the time being. Next we have John Cena coming out to the ring, and he calls out Mark Henry. Mark Henry comes up, and this I didn't really care for this segment. John Cena draws a proverbial line with his foot as if the ring was made of sand, which obviously it's not. But Henry says he's not going to cross it because he doesn't fight for free. But while John Cena has his back turned to pick up his belt, Mark Henry attacks Cena from behind. Cena manages to lift Henry up for the AA, but the weight is too much for him, and Mark Henry falls right down on Cena, very similar to how we saw happen between Henry and Ryback at WrestleMania. Mark Henry then does a World's Strongest Slam on John Cena and then holds up the WWE title. Very typical segment for a build-up championship match between a monster and a guy like John Cena. But any other extra thoughts by you guys?
I mean,
this was a great segment because the moment Cena came out and challenged Mark Henry, I had flashbacks of when The Miz came out and challenged John Cena multiple times and kept on saying, "Oh, I'm 7-0 against John Cena." And the minute John Cena calls out Mark Henry, you can see the look in his eyes like, "Oh, Mark Henry's not going to do nothing." Then Mark Henry comes out, beats his ass, and just walks away. This is what I have been waiting for. Someone to put Cena in his place, because I mean I'm so sick of this guy. He comes out and does the exact same thing every week. There's no consequences for it. There's absolutely there's nobody to challenge him. And then he tries to lift a 400, I know he's lifted the Big Show on his shoulders before, but he tries to lift the world's strongest man, gets his ass flattened into the mat, and he pays for it. And he absolutely should pay for it, because like I've said before, Mark Henry has been in this business for so long and never been given a WWE title opportunity, and Cena's been handed. He hasn't wrestled for it. He's been handed the title 11 times. I mean, come on. Where is the justice? You want to talk about the Shield and justice? Let's talk about justice.
Wait, how can you say John Cena hasn't earned it? 2-time Royal Rumble winner, Money in the Bank winner.
Yeah,
he didn't even win it. He didn't even win the WWE Championship.
The Money in the Bank
sells
opportunity.
merchandise.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a Cena hater. When I started wrestling, when I started watching it back in 2004,
you do not have the wrestler look, Drew. I'm sorry.
I know. I've always liked Cena, so I'm not the biggest fan of him now. But Cena is not the worst wrestler in the world. He's not the worst one at cutting promos. I understand why people hate him, because it's the same thing every week. But to be fair, we have people like Randy Orton who does the same monotone, "Oh, I am going to get this championship opportunity.
I am going to hurt somebody.
I am going to punt them in the skull."
I could totally understand people's point with Cena being annoyed, because it's always, "This is the most important match of my career." He loses it. And then the next week, he's like, "Well, I'm just joking, guys. Like, it really didn't faze me whatsoever. How y'all doing this week? I said I was going to go for a vacation for 6 months, but now I'm back smiling with my weird jawline all over your television screen." And it is absolutely, I get what Paul was saying. He has absolutely no consequences. Like, he can build up a match. It's like he needs to win. It's like the match with The Rock. And maybe it bugged him for like a week or two. And then all of a sudden, he's just smiling, happy-go-lucky, and a sling after, he beats Brock Lesnar.
I'll tell you, 2013 was his year of consequences, because after he lost to The Rock at WrestleMania for no championship,
2012.
he didn't win. He didn't do anything. He didn't win anything. And then Royal Rumble came along, and there was this big wave and whatever.
So 2013, the year isn't over yet. Cena had done all these things, right?
I think you meant 2012.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all good, dude.
But listen, guys, I don't want to get too far into the John Cena debate. That's something that we could spend days and days talking about. I think at this point, no, it's fine. I mean, it's a very common debate that comes up a lot. I think at this point, everyone just has kind of made their opinion of John Cena. Either you like the guy or you hate the guy. But one thing you can't deny is he's the face of the company, and he was put there for a reason, and that's because he's able to be that face of the company. It is a shame that we can't look at him and get more excited about him as old school wrestling fans, but you know what? It's not for us. We got guys like Punk and Bryan that we can get behind.
Can we get into the Mark Henry side? Because we didn't really get into that.
Well, sure. What do you got to say about Mark Henry?
Well, I think it's a really good build-up match for Mark Henry. I think it's good for him to get back into the game, going up against the face of the company. Because since the Hall of Pain has opened, he hasn't really faced the face of the company. I know he's faced Daniel Bryan, who was World Heavyweight Champion, but in all fairness, that was on SmackDown, And
Is there
Mark,
a place I can go to visit the Hall of Pain?
Pillsbury, Texas. Pillsbury, Texas.
Salisbury. Salisbury, Texas.
I thought it was Silsby.
You know where the Hall of Pain is?
Pillsbury, sorry.
You know where the Hall of Pain is? It's in Sioux City.
Just full of pain there.
You guys remember when he was from Hershey, Pennsylvania?
Oh, God.
Sexual
chocolate.
That's why he's gonna win it. He's gonna win it Money in the Bank. It's his hometown.
Any other thoughts on Mark Henry and John Cena? Tony, Chris, Jester, you guys have been kind of quiet.
If John Cena wins, it's a hate crime.
I can't follow that up.
Crime. It's a hand crime. Anybody?
Cricket.
I don't get it.
Cena's gonna win. Moving on.
Yeah. All right. So, next match we had here was Chris Jericho going against the new best in the world, the Intercontinental Champion, the third generation superstar, the latest and greatest Paul Heyman guy, Curtis Axel, who unfortunately lost.
I was waiting for it.
That was because of the Miz's debauchery, though. If there was no interference or distractions, Curtis Axel would have had that thing won paid.
Well, listen, but before that even happened, and this was a decent match, but what kind of bothered me is Chris Jericho kicked out of a perfect plex. People should not be kicking out of the perfect plex at this point. That move should be one of the most feared moves in the company right now, and yet it's being used in the middle of a match like a setup move.
That's because they're trying to transition to call it the imperfect plex.
It's not a perfect plex. It's not a perfect plex unless it's done by Mr. Perfect.
Oh, that could be like maybe he hasn't perfected the perfect plex yet. Right now, it's just like an impressive plex.
That's all I'm saying.
Plex.
Slightly below average.
Sure.
The slightly below average plex.
You know what? I don't mind that name. I like that name, the Axel Plex.
Yeah. How about the Cineplex?
The Google Plex.
But as you said, yeah, Axel gets distracted by The Miz, who was on the outside doing commentary during this match. He almost gets counted out, but thanks to the help of his agent, Paul Heyman, he got back to the ring before the 10 count. However, he was not prepared for Chris Jericho to hit a code breaker on him, pinning him for the 1-2-3, and your winner, Chris Jericho. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty decent match. Maybe, I don't know, I would say, because the Punk Orton one was pretty good to end the show too, so I'd say maybe it was tied for second best of the night. I don't get the idea of Jericho just beating Axel out of nowhere like that right before he's about to defend the title.
He's a rising star.
Ending his undefeated streak, shouldn't it have been a little bit more important of a match when his undefeated streak ends, perhaps when he loses the title, whenever that is? Like they did the same thing with the Shield too. They had their first pin/submission loss on SmackDown. Yeah,
but at least it was given months of development. Yeah, I mean, they went on undefeated from December to May.
Yeah.
Yeah, Axel just kind of debuted a month and a half ago, and now he's not just a winner anymore. Loses to Yoshitatsu on untelevised events, then
that never happened.
Loses to Jericho on TV. Well, let's not forget, Jericho is a 9-time Intercontinental Champion.
More than anybody else.
He is?
9 times.
Wow, 9?
9 times. Most in history.
He's still not the first Intercontinental Champion of all time, though.
Yeah, that's a honky tonk man.
It sure is. For now.
Sorry, that's Santino Marella. My bad.
What do you have, the honky tonk meter?
Hashtag honkometer.
I love how that offhanded comment, total BS, that I made about Yoshitatsu is picking up on this.
Anthony, that's real. I'm picking up Yoshitatsu. What's happening?
Is he still wearing that mask? Or doing the face paint?
I don't think he ever actually did it on TV.
Does he still work there? I'm checking right now. Hold on.
Yeah, he's just on, wasn't he just on Raw a few weeks ago? Yeah, he was one of the Lumberjacks.
No? You what?
Yeah, he was one of the Lumberjacks.
Are you serious? I have to check. I still don't believe you.
Yoshi's making waves, man.
I don't know. Yeah. That's the sleeper pickup, guys.
He's making so many waves, we should change his name to Tsunami.
Oh.
I was really what this match between Jericho and Curtis made me think about more than anything was why wasn't Jericho picked for the so-called All-Star match? Because he's the innovator of Money in the Bank, is he not?
No, he's got to face Ryback.
He's involved in a program with Ryback, who I believe. Oh no, he was on Raw once, but we'll get. I was gonna say might not
cried for Vickie.
Yeah, I was gonna.
He makes a small appearance. We'll get into that. Before we move on to our next segment, though, any other thoughts on Jericho and Axel by anybody? Jester?
I'm just looking at WWE.com, and I'm still surprised Yoshitatsu does, in fact, have a job.
Janitor.
I don't know what to do with myself.
Tony,
wait, wasn't he just a special guest referee in Japan? Oh, wait, that was Funaki.
Why hasn't he been picked up?
No, and let's just say this. Funaki was a special guest referee for WWE in Japan, and then he made an appearance on TNA's Hardcore Justice 2, which went on pay-per-view this past Friday, along with Bob Core Holly.
I was going to say,
Funaki's invading.
Yeah, so Funaki is the first guy to be on TV for both companies. Well, I guess Christian did it not too long ago, but since like the days of the Monday Night Wars, we haven't seen someone do that, appear on both companies in the same week.
Can we pick up Funaki?
It would almost make you think that we would have done a Superstar Scores Funaki on SmackDown.
Oh, God. It's not even worth it. I guess Funaki is in the alumni section on WWE.com, isn't he? So I guess he could be up for grabs.
Woo! I'm surprised Bob Core Holly's still alive.
I'm between Funaki and
He saved his career.
He did. They honestly booked him because of us. I'm not kidding. I really feel that way.
Oh, it's true.
So next we had another backstage segment where we had all of the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank participants, each getting a chance to say a few words. The big joke that they had throughout this was when everyone else was there, Fandango was the last one to come in to try to say his name. However, every time he got through the first syllable, someone would be like, no, don't do it. No. And then he actually does go to try to finish it, and before he's able to completely finish it, Wade Barrett gives him the bullhammer right across the face. And that's how the segment goes out. This was again a filler, but you know what? It was fun. And it got everyone to say a few words talking about the match you're going into on Sunday.
Yeah, the match no one cares about, at least unless you're not a fan of anyone.
Hey, I'm highly invested in who wins that match.
I'm more excited about that one than the All Stars one.
Yeah.
Because it's got more potential in it, well, minus swagger, but.
Well, no, what I meant was that, they're putting literally no time at all into promoting this, unless they're doing it on SmackDown, which I don't watch.
Oh, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, we looked at last week the opening segment where we had all the Money in the Bank All-Star competitors coming out, and that whole thing went about 15 minutes.
Yeah, we should have been on this episode.
It doesn't help that they're calling that one All Stars either.
And they could at least come up with a name for this one. Like you'll hear them say Rising Stars every once in a while, but that's not an official name they gave to it.
Well, Money in the Bank, Young Blood. There's so many fucking generic names you could give to something like that.
Or why not just call it like it is? All the people that are in the All Stars ones were former world champions, and all the other ones weren't. Just call it Money in the Bank champions or something like that. And then this is the group of the people that haven't been champions, like first shot people or something like that. You know what I mean?
You can't really do that with Swagger.
Yeah,
you've given it to him twice.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Swagger.
Yeah, so did a lot of people.
Yeah.
And fuck you guys.
Well, I like this segment because it was the first. I'm not gonna call it a brawl, but it was the first gathering we got of the SmackDown Money in the Bank competitors. Trying to assert their dominance. I'm sure they're going to do something a little more extreme on this next Tuesday SmackDown. But I really like seeing. I mean, they finally got them all together. That's what we've been waiting to see for a while.
Minus Ambrose.
Minus Dean Ambrose. Yeah.
And I tell you what I actually did kind of like is we saw Rhodes Scholars and Camp Coulter getting a little bit of face-to-face time. I think that's something we could see doing a program after this Money in the Bank match concludes.
Oh, yeah.
Another heel versus heel program?
Yeah, why not?
I cannot believe Jack Swagger was on TV. Holy shit. That was the best moment of Raw, to be honest.
If you missed it last week, he was also...
speak.
Yeah, he didn't speak last week either, and he looked way more of a boss with his arms behind his back, walking behind Zeb Coulter, cutting a promo.
Yo, that one freeze frame moment with Zeb Coulter standing there and both Antonio Cesaro and Swagger standing behind him with their hands behind their backs, it was quite chilling. I got to say, like, I could take that group seriously.
I was gonna cut him so I didn't lose points at Money in the Bank, but now I don't know. Now I'm.
You want to trade Swagger for Fandango?
Yes.
He can't even get one syllable out.
That's true. Damn it!
We'll be doing a little bit of Fantasy League work at the end of the show. I think we're going to have a lot of things going down after this night's events and with people that have showed up for the first time. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Actually, first, well, sort of about that, we get another Wyatt home segment. This time it's inside the dark house. Very little light in there. The camera guy looks over into a room on the side where we see a man. What was he looking into? A book, I think, and he kept saying, "Obey, obey, obey," which obviously is a shout out to Andre the Giant. He gets it.
Well, did he have a book? I thought he was just like he had his hands on his head or something. I kind of wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. When I turned around, they were already kind of panning away from it, so I couldn't really tell. But...
yeah, it happened fast and it was dark, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, more Wyatt stuff there. Next, we had Alberto Del Rio versus Sin Cara. Famed feud that we had a few years ago. Battle between the Mexicans. They're still using the mood lighting. Thank goodness.
Oh, yes, because, the person who always loses needs their mood lighting on, because, they got a shot at winning, right, with that mood lighting up.
Will you call Sin Cara his real name is Hunico?
So Dolph Ziggler ends up coming out mid-match and does his own version of an introduction for Del Rio since Ricardo is currently out, thanks to Dolph Ziggler sending him through a table and hitting him over the head with a mariachi guitar. Del Rio then eventually gets so angry that he leaves the ring and goes to attack Dolph Ziggler, and then out of nowhere the match is over.
After a crossbody from Sin Cara, though.
After a crossbody from Sin Cara. So both men were outside. After looking up the results on WWE.com, it appears that the match ended in a double countout, although I don't remember the ref ever counting.
Nor ringing a bell.
Or ringing a bell.
Yeah, he was too busy planning the next promo segment that would last for fucking 45 minutes.
They need to fire the referees tonight. They did an awful job. And also, Dolph Ziggler should be in jail for what he did to Ricardo. I just want to say that.
Every referee should just be Funaki.
I agree.
Dolph Ziggler's not in jail because he's white.
That's a spirit.
Well, I mean, they did the same thing to Sheamus. Come on.
Oh, this is
He vandalized the car.
And he's
in any trouble.
And he's really white.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he's
Great
that
white.
worse than...
he could probably get away with murder.
He's gray and white, but is there any other kind of white? I mean...
Well, he would get away with murder because they would have thought it was a supernatural,
They think he's a ghost.
Yeah, man, they think the ghost has been
so
causing...
white, you can't even call him a cracker.
Didn't he already get away with murder with the 18-second victory over Daniel Bryan?
I
had to. Come on.
Washed.
Oh, no, because Daniel Bryan's still relevant. So, it was just a hit and run. It was a hit and run.
That was a good point, Braeden. That was a good point.
Yeah, he tries to be. I mean, the guy never fucking loses except for tonight. Anyway.
Yeah, so I could tell we have so much to say about Alberto Del Rio versus Sin Cara.
It's a match with Sin Cara.
Isn't he on your team?
No, he's not. He was on Miguel's team. He's not anymore.
Oh, okay.
LOL teams with Sin Cara.
Hey, if I was a part of you guys' thing, I would love to have Sin Cara on my team.
At least
Are
Sin
you
Cara had a
serious?
match tonight.
Drew, you would love to have a team.
Are you serious?
No, I just like to have Sin Cara.
Sin Cara is Chad Ochocinco of wrestling.
Because they're both
Actually,
Spanish.
fluid.
Wow, that's an extremely nice way. That's really putting his career nicely now, isn't it?
Well, I'm sorry. He gets so hyped, and then when you watch him, he does absolutely nothing, and he gets no pushes. So
he's Hunico, damn it. Jeez. I don't know why you guys don't get this. It's Hunico in a mask. He's the only other Mexican in the company. It has to be him.
Let's get past this before this gets even more racist. So,
Not racist enough.
Well, I guess this next segment has a Mexican in it too. Vickie Guerrero has her job evaluation.
Yeah.
We see her in the ring on a stool with her assistant, Brad Maddox. And we see the three McMahons, well, I guess two McMahons, Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, and Triple H come out, all dressed in their suits. They sit at the table, and they each make their case on what they think of Vickie Guerrero. Vince takes the side of entertainment and says Vickie Guerrero should be the permanent Raw GM. Triple H is in favor of what's right for business and says that he wants Vickie Guerrero gone. Vince and Triple H come to an agreement where they say, Stephanie, you have the decision. But Stephanie says she doesn't want that responsibility, so she's going to leave it up to the WWE Universe to vote on the WWE app, available now on your carrier for Android or iOS.
Hate you guys. Hate you guys.
Anyone keep a head count of how many times they mentioned it tonight?
At least 6.
It was at least 6, yes.
607.
I was part of this minority 25% that voted she should have kept her job. I mean, damn those heartless people, 75% making her get fired.
I voted as well. I voted for her to keep her job, mainly because I actually like her.
Yeah.
She's not a bad GM. There's a lot worse ones out there.
Did everyone here vote for her to keep her job?
I didn't vote. I don't have the WWE app. I don't know what the app.
Get it.
I don't know what the WWE app is, so...
I voted for her to keep her job because the matches she made tonight were actually pretty spectacular. So, the matches didn't turn out well all the time, but they were damn good matchups.
Paul,
so if we're going by the sample group, good.
Paul, you know that the booking team makes the matches, right?
Well, yes, but
you know, she's the one running.
We're playing
the
into
booking
the
team, Team Bricky.
Yeah.
So if we're going by the sample group we have here, it was 100% voting that Vickie Guerrero passed. So I don't know
I didn't
why. Well, those who voted, they didn't have a not vote.
I don't know where to get the WWE app. I have never seen
Oh my gosh!
With the app.
Can you guys
plug
tell me
the app one more time.
Where do you get it?
Paden said you can get on iOS and Android related services.
Okay, I should look into that.
You find it on WWE Livewire.
Yeah.
You can.
So the results that we were given were 75% to 25%, saying that Vickie Guerrero failed, and this resulted with Stephanie firing Vickie, which caused Vickie to throw a complete temper tantrum like a baby. Vince then says, well, you know what, fans? You failed. You're the failures, and you're going to get what you deserve. The new general manager of Raw, Brad Maddox.
Woo! Yeah!
And Brad gives the best expression to being named a general manager in the history of Monday Night Raw.
Yes, he does.
That look.
A gape.
He did look like a deer in the headlights. That was appropriate commentary.
No, you gave the what the fuck just happened look.
So yeah, what do you guys think? Brad Maddox, we're going to be seeing him a lot more on the coming weeks of Raw TV.
Vince just giving the people what they want to see. Brad Maddox on television.
Yeah, well, no. See, the thing is, I knew he was going to get the job eventually, because otherwise, what was the point of having him be the assistant for this long, and just for him to just go away afterwards? I knew he was going to be it eventually.
Well,
it felt really obvious that Maddox was going to get the job.
No, I didn't think it at all. I thought he was just around as kind of like this sick inside joke that only those in the company knew why he was around.
Really?
So that he was there for them to laugh at and people to watch him uncomfortably because they don't get the joke.
The entire time I was watching that segment, I knew that they were going to make Maddox the GM. Like, it felt really obvious. So that's why I didn't really have like a giant reaction from it. I was just like, okay.
Yeah, well, sometimes the obvious thing is the good thing to do.
Right, no, I wasn't complaining. I was just like, I didn't have like a super whoa reaction.
No, I had a super
Yeah, I think the only person who was actually like surprised by Brad Maddox being selected was Brad Maddox.
Yeah, he had a bricky.
They didn't tell him ahead of time.
I actually kind of like this segment because the McMahons plus Triple H know how to sell it. And that whole fucking three-headed monster at the table was kind of wonderful. I don't know why. I have no idea why, but
including
just them.
Triple H with his sunburnt forehead.
Yeah. And the four worry lines that he's not even like scrunching his forehead. Those are just like permanent worry lines.
Yeah.
No idea. No idea, because he has had nothing to worry about for 14-some years.
So how about how popular? What do you mean he's had nothing to worry about? He has kids now. Are you kidding?
I'm sorry.
But Vince is still so popular at this point that he got the crowd all riled up just by standing up out of his chair.
Yeah.
And waving his arms just slightly, I think.
Well, I mean, come on. Ever since the Attitude Era, whenever Vince's music hits, whenever he comes out, he always gets a rise out of the crowd. You know. It's not always a good rise.
Okay, there we go.
But he always evokes
he evokes emotion like no other superstar in the history of the WWE.
Damn it! I didn't want to go there. Yes, but you are right. You are correct. Yes.
But he couldn't get that rise if he was in Sioux City last week.
Now, Vince might have been the only person to get that kind of a reaction from the crowd.
They would have gone,
Iowa.
Vince, meh.
But you know when his music hits. It just, it's iconic. I'm going to say it. It's iconic.
Yeah.
Most certainly at this point.
So what kind of general manager do you think Brad Maddox is going to be? I mean, is he going to be a fan favorite? Is he going to be the tyrannical type? Is he going to be a bumbling fool? What's he going to do?
No, I think he's going to be bullied. No, he's going to get bullied by everyone because he has no experience. I remember, later in the show, the commentators were like, "We're going to look up to see if he has any type of leading experience." And I could just tell that everyone is just going to shrug him off as this kid who just got lucky, who got the job, and they're just going to just do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah. So he's basically going to be John Laurinaitis.
Pretty much. No, Laurinaitis had some things because he did fire the Big Show
and rehired him in the same week.
Doesn't matter. He did it. It's a part of the plan. So you have to know what the plan is.
Yeah. I see him being nothing more than the bumbling derp who kind of gets bossed around by everybody, doesn't really know what he's doing, and probably fucks up a lot.
Well, I think he's still
under pressure.
Job as it.
Don't be surprised if they take it towards the devious genius level, where he seems like a bumbling fool, but then he does something and you're like, whoa.
Almost like he comes across these things by mistake.
Yes.
like there's a word for that. I can't remember what it is, but where you're so stupid, but you have so much dumb luck that it never affects you because of that luck.
Yes.
Who knows?
Oh, wouldn't that be a great character for him now?
Yeah. Now, do you think this is going to be something that lasts, or you think it might be how JD said earlier, where this is just going to be a little bit of filler until we get a bigger name to be more permanent?
Well, even 2 months max.
Because
I didn't see him being around for a while.
Yeah, because I didn't expect Vickie to be a managing supervisor. I didn't even think she was there since October, and apparently, lo and behold, the announcers told me that she's been in power since October. I didn't expect it to last that long, and it did. So I could see Brad just kind of being, especially with Vince and them making decisions, he could just kind of loom around in the background. Matches get made beforehand and end up airing anyway, and the people who make the matches, their segments aren't really shown all that much. So I could see him very much falling invisible and just kind of being the person in power, but doesn't really do a whole lot and lasts a whole half a year.
I think that they're going to have him involved in a lot of the segments with Vince and Triple H and Stephanie making the decisions over him, and he's not really going to have any on-screen power. And I think we're going to see Vickie in some type of role in this as well, because they put too much into her being fired tonight to have to just go away and be gone. I think after the whole power storyline with Vince and Triple H is over, though, how long he stays the general manager will be dependent on how over his character is. If they think that he's a dud, they'll just replace him with somebody like Foley. But if he gets over, he could be the GM for a long time. We just don't know.
And Chris, like you said, it could depend on how long they want to keep this whole McMahon plus Triple H feud going.
Supposedly WrestleMania.
Oh yes.
And if they do that,
we're in for a lot of Maddox.
Yeah, if they do that though, I don't think that we're going to get Maddox until WrestleMania. I think that that's going to kind of phase itself out by around Survivor Series time. But one thing that I'm really hoping that they don't do, and I think that they might, is bring Vickie back and say that she's the assistant to Maddox. I don't
That's what
want
I
to
was
see
about to
that.
say.
Team
That's
Bricky.
absolutely pointless.
No, they're gonna bring Bricky back. That's for sure.
Well, not after its implosion. I mean, this week we were shown that Team Bricky may be no more. Vickie snapping and attacking Brad Maddox for basically taking her spot, and basically right after the segment happened, after we returned from commercial break.
Well, no,
you
you know what I can see him doing? I can see him doing, like, for example, like, you know, like, Maddox feels sorry for Vickie, so she accepts the job, but the entire time she's trying to get him to lose his job so she can have it back.
Did you see the plaque of Bricky that she had in the box as she was walking out?
That was funny.
Yeah, I think I believe it was Chris who was saying before. I could see it going down similar to where Brad thinks he has all the power, but really he's just going to be sort of he's going to have Vince and Triple H and Stephanie always stepping in and doing all the decisions above him. And I can also see him maybe like still having to play that sycophant character where he's the Raw GM, but they're making the decisions and he's fetching them coffee.
And he could be the implosion point for that whole McMahon plus Triple H feud. Like he's just so incompetent that they're always having to step in and they're always having conflicting ideas, and then this whole thing just blows up, and then Linda steps in.
Oh gosh!
Right, Linda steps in and tries to sweep the whole thing away.
Then Triple H's kids step in. Everybody.
I would sooner vote for Brad
in.
Maddox.
They're already being groomed. I mean, come on.
What were you saying, Tony?
I would sooner vote for Brad Maddox into the Senate than Linda.
So, does this mean we're not going to see any more Brad Maddox matches?
We haven't seen them in forever.
Yeah, we're
He's had a match.
He's only had, I think, what, 3?
If that.
I think he had 3. I think he had one week, one the next week, and then one like 3 weeks later or something like that.
I just remember 2. One against Ryback and one against Orton. No, that's it.
Didn't he get like a title shot? Not a world title shot, but like an intercontinental title shot or something?
No, I don't think so.
No, he got $1 million shot, I believe. I think that's about it.
He just got made the general manager. He was making some money.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think we could wrap up talk on Brad Maddox. Let's move into the next match we had here, which was Christian versus Kane. First bit of hilariousness is when Christian's coming out, for some reason, the video banner that plays on the stage said Michael McGillicuddy.
You think they just scrapped that after him just changing characters?
Yeah, why was this even still on the traveling hard drive?
Well, I mean, Axel, he took a page out of his old book and lost tonight. So I mean, there's a good chance that he's gonna bring back the Michael McGillicuddy character.
It's the reemergence of the McGillicuddy.
Genesis of McGillicuddy.
The McGillicutter.
So Michael McGillicuddy's old entrance video, I didn't notice, played before Christian's video got back on track and started playing over the Titantron.
No, I think that his Titantron played, but McGillicuddy's like name popped up on I don't know what they call that.
Christian's top part, like the main video screen, played Christian's, but you know how there's that one little strip on the bottom around where like the level of where they walk out of?
Yeah, where near the W sign and all that.
Yeah. It looks almost like a ribbon because it's like curved like that. That there said Michael McGillicuddy on it. It was like that white gold color when he came out with frickin' Otunga.
Well, I mean, they've both got the beard kind of going, and I don't know, the guys in the truck just kind of got mistaken. And
no, that mistake is unforgivable.
Maybe it was just a good-natured rib.
Ed's back there and is like, go ahead, play Michael McGillicuddy's shit. Go ahead, do that.
Somebody's like, hey, dude, fuck around with Christian. What should we do? I don't know. Put McGillicuddy's thing out there. It sucks.
I'll give you 10-1 it was Edge.
I'm pretty sure he came out for a match, right, against Kane?
He did, yes. Yeah, there was a match that happened. This match resulted with Kane picking up a pinfall victory in it, and immediately after the pinfall, the lights go out, and a video starts playing with Bray Wyatt there. He has a lantern. He's cutting one of his typical speeches talking about sheep and people being followers and no one being able to stand up. Finally, he says, "We're here." And he blows out the lantern. The lights go completely dark, and then Bray Wyatt's music hits, and the Wyatt family is finally upon us. We see them walking out, just the lantern, no other light, just the lantern shining on Bray Wyatt's face, so it gets that scary storytelling silhouette type thing on it with the shadows, and just faintly, ever so faintly, you can see the other two men in the back with their sheet masks on. Really haunting entrance. One of the better ones that we've seen as a debut for someone in ages.
It was really nice. It was a really nice entrance. I mean, and especially based on the entrances we've seen before and the video build-ups we've seen before with Jericho and his little creepy classroom children, and the Undertaker's always, you know, ain't no grave gonna hold my body down. Yes, we get it. You're Johnny Cash, whatever. But it was really nice. It was really original. It was really fresh. I really liked it.
Spoiler alert, possible chance to win Best Entrance at the end of the year awards for Smark Out Moment.
Oh, yeah, that was fantastic. I love that entrance.
Shameless plug.
The one thing I didn't like was the fake lantern after they had a real one during the video, but it's what it is.
Well, they needed it to be bright so that, you know, they could make sure they had enough light to get down to the ring. But my goodness, what a beautiful looking entrance. Hopefully they keep that.
It's so beautiful because it's dark.
Well, yeah, and it took some sort of creativity to it, and they even had the rocking chair going on, as we would find out when the lights came back on.
Ooh, yeah, that was nice.
I thought that was creepy as hell.
Like, I thought they just pulled it off perfectly. Like, I hope that's not like a one shot. This is because of our debut deal. I hope that's how they come out as a unit all the time.
If Del Rio can drive a new car to every single event, I think they can lug around a rocking chair
and a neon lantern.
Yeah.
No, it's a custom rocking chair that they get every week, brand new.
Oh,
there's a job for William Regal. He could be in charge of turning the lights off.
Oh, poor Steve.
Cole can tell us what kind of rocking chair we have each week. This is a 1997 blah blah blah. I think that part that segment of Raw was the only like notable part. Like I think we'll remember that segment for a while, but everything else was forgettable.
Yeah,
nothing bad, but like that was obviously the focal point of the show with all the segments, and then like the way the crowd reacted to their debut. They're clearly excited to see these guys. The company did a good job.
When the music hit, they got a pretty decent, or at least for me, a noticeable pop.
Oh,
by
yeah.
that I mean like a crowd cheer.
Also, their theme is fucking amazing, and I can't wait till it's on YouTube. I
love that theme because it's so unique compared to what you usually hear from themes. You don't typically hear that slower, more airy, acoustic-y indie sound to music. In the rest, it's always hard rock or a hip hop beat. That's all.
Or something instrumental.
Or country.
Oh, you'll hear country if it's like very specific to someone's gimmick.
Yeah.
Or whatever the hell Kaitlyn's is.
I think what they were trying to do. I think what the Wyatt family theme did was what they were trying to do with the Undertaker's new theme. Like they were trying to get away from that. They're trying to get away from that thing with the Johnny Cash song, but it didn't quite pan out. And I think that's what they were trying to do with the Wyatt theme. You know.
That Undertaker thing was a one-time thing. I mean, he did that because when he left before coming in for that WrestleMania, he was buried alive in a buried alive match. Yes, it was a one-year thing, but you know what I'm saying? Like no, they do that all the time. They'll do like a one-time. So like Triple H came out to the King of Kings theme that one time.
Bow down to the king.
But anyway, finishing this up here, after the Wyatts come out, Bray Wyatt sits down in his rocking chair, and then we see Eric Rowan and Luke Harper appear inside the ring and attack Kane. A heinous attack, too. They absolutely destroy the guy. They take him outside of the ring. They slam him into the steps. They take the one top part of the step and drop it right down onto his head. This is vicious.
Quite a vicious assault.
It was as vicious as the assault that Dolph Ziggler did on Ricardo Rodriguez during Fiesta Del Rio, which was heinous, and he should be in prison.
So are you saying that Kane's going to be suspended?
Kane? Why would Kane be suspended?
Well, they were fat burners, and he does have that fire thing going on for him.
And they're not going to suspend the Wyatt family because they just came in.
But what they did was okay. Because Kane lit someone on fire, and he's a bad guy. But
he lit JR's ass on fire.
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure JR's fat ass can take it.
Ziggler attacking Ricardo was completely uncalled for, though.
So is this their first program, or at least Wyatt's first program is going to be with Kane?
They'll probably.
Anybody else get those type of vibes?
Yeah.
I think they're going to cost Kane. I think they're going to cost Kane the ladder match on Sunday.
If that's if Kane competes in it. Because honestly, I had this vibe that when they were dragging him out of the ring, I thought they were just gonna just take him back and just abduct him. I was like, whoa, this is really.
Oh, that would be awesome.
What if Bray Wyatt replaces Kane in the Money in the Bank match?
Oh, and he wins it. God.
Because I can't see anyone. None of them seem really realistically gonna win. So
in the Raw match?
All the All-Stars?
Are you serious?
I can't see anyone specifically winning.
Bryan?
RVD, Daniel Bryan?
Way too
I still don't
obvious.
see RVD winning.
It's been way too obvious that Bryan's going to win.
I can tell you why RVD's not going to win. Because on WWE.com, they have an article about RVD is back, who's he going to face?
Uh-huh.
And it looks like one of these circus shows. Like come see the amazing RVD. He can jump from
They do that every
ring
time.
post to ring post. But it looks so clowny that I have no doubt in my mind that RVD's not going to win that.
I don't know.
He's there for spots.
I honestly think nobody specifically. It's a crapshoot. Some of them are so obviously not going to win, like Kane and Orton are not going to win.
What do you mean?
And or Christian. Bryan's not going to win because it's way too obvious that he should win.
Well, everybody said the same thing about Cena last year. That still happened.
That's why RVD wins by lining himself up with Paul Heyman and cashing in on John Cena after he gets attacked by Mark Henry, or just suffers from the Mark Henry match and all that, and we have Daniel Bryan wrestle somebody else at SummerSlam.
But the fact that they're already
forecasting for the WWE, Tony. I mean, you have brought up that they don't really like to think that outside the box. I can't see them doing that.
I don't think that's outside the box. I think that's hot-shotting it on the guy that is coming back. And it's really not that hard to jump to because he is a Paul Heyman guy.
But the fact that they're already forecasting, who's he going to face next, they're not even talking about the Money in the Bank match. Just listen to the King, because as much as I've watched WWF and WWE, whenever the King says something, it usually comes true.
What?
It does. It does. The King basically gave away Eric Bischoff coming back and being the general manager of Raw.
Eric Bischoff gave away Eric Bischoff being the general manager of Raw.
Well, yes, but I'm talking if you're just watching the show, if you're just watching WWE and WWF.
No.
If you're watching the show.
No. If you watch that show, before Vince McMahon showed Eric Bischoff coming out as the Raw GM, they had a segment in the middle of the show before that of Eric Bischoff interacting with Booker T backstage. They gave it away on their own. That wasn't Jerry Lawler.
Wasn't that the coach backstage with Booker T?
No. It was Eric Bischoff, because then Booker T said, "Tell me I didn't just see that."
Oh, that's right. That was right at the end of that. Okay.
Tell me that wasn't Eric Bischoff. That wasn't Bischoff, was it? And then, lo and behold, they come off a commercial break, and that's when he shows up.
Okay.
I'm back.
Yes. So.
Anyway, we got way off here. Any other thoughts on the Wyatt family debut, guys?
Well, I thought it was perfect.
Keep it going.
I don't think they could have done it any better. And I'm kind of a little freaked out by it because it's really creepy, and I think that's the perfect vibe for these guys.
No, they just need to add aprons, and then you'll be that.
I'd hate it, dude.
They could have had a better person for them to go after than Kane.
Maybe they could take an apron from Big E Langston, who was dressed to be at a barbecue like we were talking about earlier.
So perfect segue into the next segment, Tony.
Wait. Are they just going to fight Kane now? I mean, is this going to be like some of us are postulating where it's going to be mainly just Bray Wyatt, the other two guys are just heavy muscle for him, and we're going to see this as a Bray Wyatt versus Kane match, and those other two guys just being on the side interfering? We're not going to see these going as a three-piece or even seeing a tag team going separate from Bray Wyatt?
That's what I think.
You know, I honestly thought that Daniel Bryan was gonna come out and at least help him, but after that not happening, I don't think it's gonna be Daniel Bryan and Kane taking him on.
I see them as a hit squad. I see them as taking out whoever they want.
There's two routes here. I think you either have Undertaker and Kane face them at SummerSlam, and if Undertaker can't do it, you have a singles match between Bray Wyatt and Kane. And in the meantime, Kane faces off against each individual member other than Bray Wyatt, depending on that kind of an outcome. And then they kind of move on after that with the possible Shield face turn that everybody keeps talking about.
Any other final thoughts on the Wyatt group, guys?
I think we've touched on basically everything there is. It was just a brilliant debut and leaves a lot to look forward to in the coming weeks.
And he better fucking win matches.
All right, well, moving into the next segment, as you said, we had Vickie Guerrero walking out with a box of her stuff filled with things like leopard print pillows and a Team Bricky sign, which, as Paul pointed out earlier, was just adorable. She runs into Ryback. Ryback takes the box out of her hands, and at first I thought, like, oh, man, Ryback's such a gentleman. He's going to be carrying the box for her. But then he puts it down, and I'm like, uh-oh, what's going to happen here? Ryback gives her a hug and says, Vickie, you deserve better.
As he promptly leaves on his motorcycle to join the Aces and Eights with that outfit on.
Like a real biker gang.
Get your cup over the ear right there.
So, yeah, what the hell was up with that?
Who
it's
knows?
Cryback.
Yeah, it's Cryback.
I hope they don't do this. And if they do, it's a bad fucking move, I think. But the way that Vickie throws those temper tantrums and shrieks at the top of her lungs every single time that everything goes against what her plans are, tagging her up, well, not tagging, she's not going to wrestle matches, but putting her as the manager for the Cryback character.
Perfect.
And having them as like
very good assessment.
Bill, because Ryback isn't really that strong when it comes to promos. He's not the worst in the company by far.
But he has his weaknesses.
He does, and Vickie, she's not the best by far, but she gets a lot of heat. And putting those two together, they could have something like that where it's like, Cryback and the temper tantrum Vickie and all that. I really hope that they don't, but I can totally see that being a potential option.
That oddly and terribly amusing at the same time.
Yeah.
It must be a masochist. I want to see this now.
I kind of do as well. I think it'd be fucking awesome.
As long as he gets to cry.
Oh my God!
If she gets to yell at him abusively.
If he cried every week after she screamed at him, that would be the funniest shit. That would be so. I would get so behind that.
Cryback, why are you crying?
If he broke down into tears and they called him Cryback, the crowd chanted Cryback at him every week, I would lose it.
You just lost another match! Oh my God, I can't believe you! Why can't I win? Cry.
I'm still hungry.
He just cries and is like, yeah. No fair. Why'd I lose? Oh my God.
So he basically becomes Christian before he left for TNA.
All right, guys, so next we had a match, which was the Divas match of the evening. It was between Layla and Christian going up. Layla and Kaitlyn.
I think you mean Michael McGillicuddy.
Yeah. Layla and Kaitlyn going up against AJ Lee and Alicia Fox, who was a heel this week.
2 weeks in a row, man.
Again.
Yep. The Bellas were gracing us with their commentary skills.
Yeah, their lack thereof.
The only note I have here is kill me.
That's a good
this match ends when Kaitlyn hits a spear on AJ Lee on the outside of the ring, and then the match just ends for some reason.
I think they took a cue from last week and made this match as short as possible. because I mean, even though they got no reaction out of Sioux City, at least Kaitlyn can deliver a decent spear, and then when AJ lays out, she can spread her legs pretty wide, which was awesome.
She's certainly no Bo Dallas at the spear, but yeah, it did what it needed to do. And man, Big E's attire. I'll let Tony. What did you say he looked like? Your random ass uncle at a barbecue or something like that?
Somebody's lame uncle dressed at a barbecue.
He looked like a black Jimmy Buffett. I thought he was like cheeseburger in paradise.
Spear.
That's
like
not
he went from all these unitards to these lame Hawaiian shirts for some reason.
Yeah, that's not the attire that you want somebody who's supposed to look like they can beat your ass to be wearing.
Dude, those shirts are fucking awesome, right?
And those unitards couldn't even hide his junk. I don't even know why he used those.
But wait a minute, think about it. How much more embarrassing it is having your butt kicked by someone wearing that.
But it makes it even worse that he had that whole backstage fallout thing where he was like, I don't want to cut a promo because I have Kamasa.
Well, yeah, that's that match.
Moving on.
I was talking about Big E.
We go to our main event of the evening, which was Randy Orton versus CM Punk. This was a pretty decent little match that we had here in our main event, and this match ended with, I believe, CM Punk getting the GTS and getting the pinfall.
Hashtag Team Jester.
Either way. And then we had Daniel Bryan coming out after the match and getting the ladder up, climbing up, and taking the Money in the Bank briefcase off the hook and chanting yes with the briefcase in hand.
Obviously, because he won. He already won. So there's the All-Stars Money in the Bank match is already over. We don't have to worry about that.
A little worried now that Raw ended this way.
Yeah, it was kind of silly for them to put the briefcase up there. You know, anyone could have just went up there and taken it.
Yeah, that was really lame and the way to end Raw. It was so anticlimactic. It was just like,
yeah,
okay,
well, and on top of that, it makes me think maybe I'm not so sure he's going to win now.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier.
If you know that's going to happen on the pay-per-view, we're going to show you right here, right now. It's the point of ordering if that's what's going to happen.
I don't think he's going to win. That's what I was saying earlier.
I thought they were trying to show off his new shirt again.
Oh, well, if that's what they were doing, then that's fine.
I mean, it's a great shirt. Fear the beard.
I like the where the wild things are type drawing of the face and the beard.
Oh yeah.
Daniel Bryan always has awesome shirts.
Yeah, it totally fits in with that where the wild things are crowd now, doesn't he?
How great of a main event must it have been if we're talking about T-shirts now?
Oh no, I thought it
was a great match.
That was a good back and forth outing between Orton and Punk. I think they always deliver when they have a match against one another.
It kind of suffers from that thing where there was nothing bad about the match, but at this point, when you've watched 3 hours of Raw and none of it was really that good except for the Bray Wyatt thing, you kind of just don't care anymore and you want to get it over with.
Yeah, I think I wasn't really paying attention to this match. I mean, we were talking in our chat that we have every Monday night when we're watching Raw, and I was, usually I'm looking back and forth, but when I got to that match, I was spending more time just looking at the chat or browsing the web, preparing to get this show ready. I was checked out. I was not really into this match.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when they have a main event like Orton versus CM Punk, you should be like, oh wow, I really should watch this match. But I mean, based on all the nonsense that they had tonight, and I don't mean it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have called it nonsense. I'm just saying all the filler that they had, and then they had these really nice matchups like Bryan versus Sheamus and Kane versus Christian and CM Punk versus Orton. Like, you really should have been paying more attention in the matches, but you couldn't.
So, am I the only one who really hasn't been all that into CM Punk since his return?
Oh no, you're not the only one.
They're not doing anything with him. They're just having him come out and wrestle. He's just babyface CM Punk, not speaking wrestling matches. That's all he's doing.
I think it's more of the fact that he kind of just came back as a face. With no real rhyme or reason. He's distancing himself from Paul Heyman. Sure, it's for the Brock Lesnar feud that's going to be happening after Money in the Bank. But there wasn't really any reason for him to be like, oh, Paul, I don't really need you around anymore. Just stay away from my shit. He's just kind of jumped to that and being a fan favorite again after being a heel for how long was his turn for? That had to be at least over half a year.
9 months.
Yeah,
9 months at least.
9 months at least.
Happened last July, so.
They kind of ended that whole thing on SmackDown when Alberto Del Rio punched out Paul Heyman. Like they solidified his face status for a little bit. You got to admit he's going to be face for a little bit, at least until this whole Money in the Bank match is over.
The reason it's not really that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tony.
All right. The reason that it's not that interesting is because it's just a stall right now. The only plan was bring him back and have him face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam.
Yes.
So right now it's that like you're mulling around, not trying to do anything, but trying to just keep it interesting enough and keep him on TV so people don't forget about him. Because really, if you think about it, if they didn't see any drop in money, they probably would just keep him off the Money in the Bank thing entirely. He doesn't have any kind of a story, really. They didn't focus on this at all this week. Like,
nope.
I don't know if you can keep him entirely off Money in the Bank.
No, I mean, if they would have been able to, like, bring somebody else in there to counterbalance it and make sure that the buy rate goes up or something like that, it's not being sold as CM Punk having this big thing for the pay-per-view. It's Money in the Bank, and CM Punk right now is not doing anything. He's just waiting for his match with Brock Lesnar. So nothing's going to happen until the Raw after Money in the Bank or during Money in the Bank.
And that's Lesnar's fault. The fact that Lesnar's got such an annoying schedule that they have to work around is why Punk's not doing anything at the moment, because that's who they have him slated to feud with. And because Lesnar won't be there every week, and they want to wait until SummerSlam. First of all, they popped it too soon by having Brock F5 him a few weeks ago. And secondly, the fact that he can't be there is why he's just kind of in limbo. They're having him be, he's the high-profile guy on Raw. He's still the number 2 after Cena, but, like, he's just not in any real feuds or anything.
Chris, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What has Brock Lesnar been doing? Because I've been paying attention to UFC, and I haven't been seeing him in any of the cards. What has he been doing?
He sits at home and he eats rallies.
And he fucks Sable. That's what he does.
He fucks Sable. That's what he does.
Sable.
He calls Mark Merrow up and goes, "Remember her?"
I've just been wondering, like, he takes all this time off, and what has he been doing? Like,
when you're Brock Lesnar, you can get paid to sit at home and eat rallies.
He spends $1 billion and he fucks Sable. That's what he's doing.
So he lives a pretty damn good life.
I would love to get paid $1 billion and fuck Sable.
I'll take one, preferably the $1 million.
At this point, probably the $1 billion.
He probably does have some wrinkles now. I'm not gonna.
Probably.
She's always had the man voice. So, Brock, you want some pancakes for breakfast?
If you don't have $1 billion and you can't get Sable, the next best thing is you can spend $50 or whatever it is to get in bed with Sonny.
Oh, I knew that was gonna. If not here, definitely Smack Talk for a hot tag. I bet you're gonna keep that anyway. Oh, fuck.
Sorry, Chris. That was an honest question. I was really wondering what he was doing. I'm
pretty sure he sits at home and eats rallies. That's what my connections have told me.
And deals with his cauliflower ear.
Yeah.
So, I guess that'll wrap up our talk for Monday Night Raw. Overall, I think it was a decent show. You know, not necessarily anything to bring it too far down. It wasn't like last week where we had an awful crowd and also the worst segment of Monday Night Raw history.
With the E-Diva promotion with 2 people we've never seen before and a whole bunch of divas just bickering and spouting off lines poorly. Yeah, I would say I was good with that not being on the show tonight.
No, it was the McMahons dealing with Vickie. Come on.
Oh, that was anywhere near as torturous, and it was longer. So that's something.
I actually like that segment.
So let's go around the horn here. I'll let you guys throw out your final thoughts of Monday Night Raw tonight. Let's start with Paul. Paul, your final thoughts?
It was a whole lot better than last week. I honestly really did like the 3-headed McMahon family coming out. It reminded me a lot of the Attitude Era. And I really hope that this Mark Henry-John Cena match at Money in the Bank lives up to the hype.
Drew?
I thought it was a good Raw, not very good, but it was a hell of a lot better than last week. And the crowd this week helped out a lot more, mainly because we heard nothing besides crickets last week. So I especially like the Vickie Guerrero section, not only because my boy Brad got the job, but it was actually a very good segment. And yeah, I think that's all I got.
Jester?
Keep an eye out for Bray Wyatt. He's a future superstar. +1 for the Michael McGillicuddy plug thing. And I give Raw a 4 out of 10 like Bret Hart.
Braeden?
A pretty good addition to the show. Nothing too spectacular, but, not every Raw is going to be. I would say it was definitely worth checking out for the Wyatt debut in general. That's definitely going to go places during the summer. It kept my interest in Money in the Bank, which, yes, it's going to be a pay-per-view I will be ordering. So at least they've been doing their job and keeping me motivated to order their pay-per-view. I probably got it anyway. It's one of the few shows a year that's like a buy for me usually. So I'm pretty excited for the pay-per-view this Sunday. So I can give them credit for that for this week's Raw.
And Tony?
Well, if I say anything, it'll probably be a 20-minute promo. So I'll just say...
Oh, really? You thought this was that bad of a show?
It wasn't the worst show of all time, but I came into this tired, and if I would have actually sat and just watched this, I would have fallen asleep.
Nothing happened except for the Wyatt thing.
That means something happened, though.
That's a quick...
Literally the only part of Raw you had to watch.
But, they've done this before. I mean, I think back to... there was some stupid thing they were doing the whole show, but it was the show where the Nexus first appeared, where they came out and attacked John Cena and CM Punk at the end of the show.
God, and they tore up the whole place.
Yeah, that was one of the worst Raws of all time. I mean, I almost turned off the show before the end of that night.
I fell asleep during it and missed the Nexus debut. It was that awful.
Wow. I think they purposely make the rest of the show a little bit blander, a little bit more boring, so that one moment that they're building it towards is that much more impactful. I believe they did the same thing with that show where CM Punk did his pipe bomb promo. They made the rest of the show
at the very end of the night.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's what they might have did here. And they didn't take it to as much of an extreme, but I think they kept the rest of the show just sort of filler, just pushing the paper all the way into Money in the Bank Sunday, and only made this one really super awesome segment stick out a little bit more.
Rarely do you remember whole episodes of Raw anyway. You just remember moments. So.
Yeah. So with that, we'll wrap up our talk about Monday Night Raw. What we want to take care of here next, something we usually don't talk about. We'll talk about, but we won't deal with business too much here on the Raw post show. But I think we're all very anxious to get this work done.
No, not me.
The substitutes that we want to do for our fantasy league. First, to give a little bit of an update on the scores after this Monday Night's Raw, the standings are as such. Still sitting all the way down in last place, we have Braeden Mayhew with negative 10 points. Poor guy. Catching up, we have Miguel Leon, who made his excellent sub-in with the Usos and Ryback, which has brought him up to 35 points. Still in fifth place, we have Tony Mango with 110 points. And not too far of him in fourth, Brendan Ligon is sitting with 115. And that actually fluctuated a little bit tonight. We're actually wondering who is going to get the priority pick this evening. In third place is myself, Mike Paden, with 215 points. Second place, Michael Burhan, who couldn't be with us tonight, with 220 points. He said he was going to be here, too, that jerk. And first place, with still a gracious amount of room between himself and number 2, is Chris Jester with 310 points.
And Drew with the TBA. That's worth noting.
So Braeden and Miguel have already made substitutions, so they are actually sitting in the back of the line of the waiver wire. So the first choice tonight goes to Tony Mango. Woo. Tony, I think I know who you're going to be bringing on, but who will you be subbing for?
Well, obviously, I am switching Dolph Ziggler for Yoshitatsu.
He said it.
That's on the record. Yeah, that's on the record.
It's done. You said it.
Yeah, that's on the record.
Out of all the people, I think I actually was going back and forth between should it be Christian or Big Show, and the way that, even though I don't think keeping Christian is going to be a really smart move down the line, I got to get rid of Big Show and replace him with Bray Wyatt.
Woof. All right, well, Tony is subbing out Big Show for Bray Wyatt.
Get the fuck out of there, Big Show.
Terrible move. Terrible.
I
guarantee you he doesn't wrestle a single match until SummerSlam.
the way that my luck's been going with my concussions and everybody losing their titles as soon as we fucking start this fantasy league and injury angles and all this other kind of crap, I wouldn't be surprised at all if next week Big Show comes back, or you know what, Big Show replaces Kane in the fucking Money in the Bank match, wins it, Bray Wyatt has a concussion, gets knocked out. It gets to a point like that, I'm just giving up.
Big Show's kind of an all-star. I'm not gonna lie.
At least you're not in last place, Tony. Don't worry.
That's only by
you could be doing worse.
Not getting a chance to pick good people.
All right, guys. So next in line would be Brendan Lincoln, who could not do the show with us this evening, but I did talk to him, and he was prepared to make a substitution as well. And for the second substitution, he will be subbing out Luke Harper onto his team, taking the place of Kane.
Oh, that's a good pick. That's good. I like it a lot. Yeah.
I was shocked he went with Kane too. Honestly, I thought he would drop someone more like Sandow, but he went with Kane. I guess he thinks that Kane's coming towards the end here. Now that Team Hell No has gone, perhaps there's no more steam left in the tank.
Well, no, I think Sandow has more of a chance of winning Money in the Bank than Kane does, and it doesn't look like Kane's going to be winning anything anytime soon as well.
I would have thought Cesaro.
Well, Cesaro just hooked up with Coulter, so I think he's got some big things coming up in the next few months. At least a few victories on his side. But so that leaves it up to me, and I will also be making a substitution. I will be dropping Brock Lesnar, which was
unfortunately
just a
excellent pronunciation.
And I will be dropping him out and taking on the third Wyatt family member, Eric Rowan.
I like it more than Tony's pick, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, why would you bring on Yoshitatsu?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you bring on Yoshitatsu?
Yeah, because he doesn't appear on TV. I mean, he's guaranteed you not to lose any points.
All right.
The tsunami's coming.
Stand back. There's a tsunami coming through.
There's a new tag team, Tsunami Hurricane. The new natural disasters.
He comes out in a blue mask, a whole blue outfit.
All right. So, unfortunately, we're kind of at a standstill here because Michael Burhan is not present. So.
Wait, I want to make a pickup.
You got Burhan between you.
Yeah.
He's got to make his pick first.
That's pretty messed up. Like, he should have. If he misses the show, he misses the show. That happened to me actually one time.
No, but that was Smack Talk.
Okay, I don't know. I still think we probably have more tweaking to do with that. That seems.
And it happened to me too. I mean, I missed the week when the draft began.
Yeah, but if we could just drop it the night after it opens, the night it opens up. I mean, what's the point of having a waiver wire then anyway? It could just be first dibs. Like
it's affecting me because he's not on the show though. Like if he wasn't going to be on the show, he should have said this would be what I would pick if I was there. You know what I mean?
Well.
Like, I don't know.
Hey, Paul, it's like this. I mean, you do have a pick, and you do have a team. It's like that. Think of it like that. And as I say that, I'm setting my fantasy baseball team, so you guys do your fantasy wrestling stuff.
We will.
Well, I think we're wrapped up for now. But
damn,
this will reconvene on Smack Talk because I believe there is still business to be had. But now currently open for the pickings is Big Show, Kane, and Brock Lesnar, as well as anyone else who's still out there. You know, the Justin Gabriels, the Tyson Kids. So there's the Yoshitatsus, the Brad Maddoxes.
Yeah.
So with that, guys, we'll take it to the final part of the show, and that's where I'm going to let everyone go around and just say a few words about what you got going on. We only got about 5 minutes here, though, so guys, keep it quick. Paul, what you got going on in your world?
First of all, I think it's ridiculous to base a fantasy sports league on a league that's not determined by the players themselves, but whatever. And I'm DJing at O'Finley's on Wednesday. Come check it out.
The hell are you talking about?
All right, now I'll be sure to go.
Drew?
All right, well, I do help out on Tony's various projects, like Fanboys Anonymous and his Smark Out moment stuff and Smack Talk, but I'm not going to do my long plug since we're short on time, but I'll just say call Big Blast Rentals and it was 765-212-1521 and go to the website, look at the bounce houses, cornhole, go.
And Braeden.
Yeah, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's www.youtube.com/foodbeast. And it would also be nice if you could follow me on Twitter, which is use the same username Spoodbeast as well. So you can follow @Spoodbeast. Moving on because we're short on time. Keep the list going for plugs here. Let's go.
Jester.
Support my fantasy team and don't follow me on Twitter because I don't tweet anyway. Next.
And Tony Mango.
All right, guys. Obviously, we've mentioned it a couple of times. SmarkOutMoment.com and YouTube.com/SmarkOutMoment for Smack Talk and everything related to that. And if you're a fan of anything geek-related, go to FanboysAnonymous.com and check that out.
And that leaves it to me here. You talked about Smack Talk. The other show that does help with this is Keeping Kayfabe, which is one of the shows I run, which you can find actually on a separate radio station, Dream Elite Radio, Thursdays at 9 p.m., head-to-head, going against TNA. It's the Thursday Night Wars. We haven't killed them yet, so we got to keep that going. We thank you for listening to us here on Mega Powers Radio. We'll be here every Monday night immediately after the conclusion of Raw, so you can always join us for this show. And this coming Sunday, right before Money in the Bank, we'll be doing a pre-show. So starting at 6:30, that's an hour and a half before the opening bell time, you can catch most of the people that you'll be hearing here, as well as possibly some others, talking about our predictions of what we think is going to be going down at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And there's also a bunch of other shows. You can check them all by going to megapowersradio.com or by searching for Mega Powers Radio on Facebook. And that's pretty much all I got here, so I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm Mike Paden for Tony Mango, for Chris Jester, for Braeden Mayhew, for Drew White, and for Paul Hibbard. I'm Mike Paden once again. You've been listening to the Monday Night Raw post show here on Mega Powers Radio. We'll see y'all next week.